All right, look, bro. Straight up, dating in 2025 is a damn war zone. And most guys are getting completely wrecked. And maybe right now you've been struggling with women, but women have so many options these days. They've got the apps, they've got social media, they've got, Instagram, they've got a million different options. And if you're not bringing something serious to the table, you're invisible. Plain and simple. So today I'm going to cut through all the bullshit with you. I'm going to shoot straight. We're talking about why it's so brutal out here and how you actually win in this new dating landscape in 2025, where intentional dating is going to be replacing random hookups. Now, I've got a few main points to go over, and make sure you stick around until the end because this isn't the mainstream stuff that you're used to hearing. But if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Brian, and this is The Ascended Man, where I help you forge strength, elevate your spirit, and lead with purpose. So let's get into it. I have coached tons of men to peak performance in the past. I was a certified personal trainer for a long time, and I was in the Marines. I was in combat. So all this years of hardcore training and, having dated a bunch of women in the past, I've seen what it takes to build strength both mentally and physically and have a lot of options with women. Now, I have not had a girlfriend in several years, but that's just because I've been really pouring into myself. I mean, I could literally open Bumble, go to a new city, open Bumble, and just have a ton of new matches. Like I'm just actually in a hotel right now in Orlando for a couple days before I go to Indianapolis for like 4 days. And I opened the Bumble app twice in the past 2 days I've been here, and every time it's like 8-10 matches, already. And it used to not be like that. I used to struggle with women. I was chasing women. I was putting so much effort into it and not enough effort into leveling up every area of my life. And I'm not a dating coach. This isn't about trying to have some cheesy pickup lines or being a pickup artist or anything like that. I'm not about that stuff. This is just really about becoming the kind of man that naturally attracts high quality women. You naturally attract respect and attention just by focusing on yourself. And in 2025, emotional intelligence isn't just a bonus. It's very important. It's the new sexy. And it's the bare minimum women expect these days, because the thing is, dude, dating apps and social media, they've flipped the whole game. And now women, they have options. They have so many options. And it's created some serious problems for regular dudes because the average dude just doesn't have a shot anymore. But it's also created unrealistic expectations to a certain extent, because we're seeing all these influencers on Instagram and social media. They're seeing a filtered highlight reel version of reality. And they're comparing you to that. And you're coming up short. I mean, you're basically set up for failure. And a lot of these women have analysis by paralysis as well. Too many choices. They end up choosing nothing a lot of the times. And a lot of women just get on these dating apps for, their own validation, just to see who they can match, and don't really have an intention with actually doing anything. That's why it's good to really try and meet women in person by going and actually doing things that you enjoy. Maybe this is a boot camp class, a fitness class. Maybe it's just some kind of group activity, a run club, something like that. But, the women that will swipe, they swipe, and they never actually really connect. So lots of superficial judgments. You are in the dating pool with a profile. You're reduced to a profile picture on a dating app and a few lines of text. That's it. The algorithm is rigged 100%. It favors the top 10% guys. The guys who know how to play the game. The guys who are, that top 10%, right? And so right now, you're competing against a stacked deck. And it's even worse now with AI entering the dating scene in 2025. Apps like, Tinder, Hinge, Bumble. I don't really like Tinder. Tinder is kind of scammy, I feel like. But Bumble and Hinge are two of the ones that I would use. All these apps, though, even the good ones like Hinge, they're using artificial intelligence to select your most attractive photos, and then what'll happen is it'll suggest ideal partners, right? And this is completely changing the entire landscape of how connections are made. And the raw truth is, bro, average guys struggle while that top tier guy dominates, right? The top tier men, that like top 3% of guys are dominating, and then it's the rest of the guys that are getting schwacked. Because this is a competitive market. It's a competitive job market. It's a competitive dating market. And at the end of the day, if you are not bringing value, if you're not constantly leveling up, you're getting left behind. You know, if you're not in shape, showing up with, discipline, if you're not confident, if you're not showing that you have self-worth, if you're not showing that you're financially stable and secure and have resources, and, showing that you're a competent man, you're getting passed, bro. You're getting passed. You're getting passed over by all the guys who are winning. Because here's the thing with the dating apps. There's like 10% of the guys who are getting 90% of the girls, right? So that top tier guy, what does he look like? They build their physiques. They build a well-sculpted physique. They have discipline. They have strength. It's primal. These guys exude confidence. They know their self-worth. They're not chasing validation. A lot of women on social media and dating apps, they're chasing validation. We're not chasing anything except excellence. On your mission, on your purpose. Handle your finances. You don't have a mound of credit card debt. Okay? High value men, the ascended man, top tier guys, they handle their finances. They're providers. They understand that confidence isn't something you're born with. It's a skill you develop through consistent action. Now, me, I went in the Marine Corps right out of high school. I was a certified personal trainer for a long time. I've done a lot of hard things in my life. I also got a really ripped physique. Now, I don't walk around all the time at like 10% body fat, but I've been insanely shredded in the past. You can check out the rest of some of my pictures on my YouTube or my Instagram. But most guys, bro, they have low self-esteem. They're always seeking validation from women. They have terrible social skills, don't even know how to talk to a woman in person. They can't even have a decent conversation. Like, financial stress, living paycheck to paycheck. Like, dude, if you don't have at least, honestly, bro, if you don't have at least 10 grand in the bank, like, you shouldn't even be dating at all whatsoever. Most dudes are living paycheck to paycheck. I know I was in the past, and I was staying in this situation where, God, I remember at one point, like 6 years ago, I was negative $600 in my checking account. And I had racked up like 10 grand of credit card debt. I had one credit card that had to go to collections, actually. And I still can't even to this day get with that bank because I have a bad record with them. But my credit score is good. I have money saved up. Probably like almost, I think my credit score is, it's in like the high 700s. No credit card debt, anything like that. I've taken years to build, make sure I've got a good job, got my physique. You got to make sure that you're taking care and constantly upgrading yourself in life. You're upgrading your mind. You're reading, you're learning, you're becoming smarter. You're growing in your career. You have a side project, a passion. I don't know what, you've got to have your life together. You got to be constantly building, bro. That's a thing, because I've gotten left for other guys in the past who, like they had the money, they had a good career. And to be honest with you, a lot of these guys maybe weren't even in that great of shape, but they had resources, they were smart, they had connections, right? But if you have a really good physique, that's going to put you, and with the money, that's going to put you in the top tier. But you cannot be dating and living paycheck to paycheck. It's just not going to cut it. A lot of guys are also stuck in this sort of like instant gratification. I know I've been there before. And if you are prioritizing instant gratification, like using your credit card, buying things you can't afford, porn, things like that, you're putting yourself in a worse position. And there's so many guys that they do not understand how to implement delayed gratification. Like, it is so important to do that. Which is why so many guys stay broke and unhappy and super stressed out. That's why so many guys stay where they are. And the truth is, dude, like in 2025, they're looking for more than just a physical attraction. They want men who can communicate well, regulate their emotions, and they want a guy who can support their growth, right? Now, you don't need to be paying for a girl's bills. Do not pay for a woman's bills. If she is not your wife, you should not be paying for any of her bills at all, okay? Now, I do think on dates and stuff, you should pay for the date. You're the man. You should be leading the way. If she offers to pay, that's cool. If it's the first date, if the first couple dates, if she offers to pay, take the tab, bro. Don't let her pay. But if she becomes your girlfriend and you're dating, then it's okay to, if she has a good job, a lot of women these days have their own career, they have their own money. If they want to chip in, that's cool, right? But the days of just being good looking are over. Women want substance, and they're not afraid to wait for it. So let me just take you back. When I really focused on my physique, I was a personal trainer for several years. It was my main job. And I worked at a big box gym like LA Fitness. And then I started my own personal training business. Did pretty well for myself. When I was doing fitness full time, that was when I had the most amazing physique. And it's because it's literally all I did. I walked, I got my steps in all day. I mean, I was literally getting paid to do it. So of course I'm going to have a insane fitness cover model physique. I could get women no problem. I had no issue with it as far as hooking up goes. And if I wanted a girlfriend, I could have had a girlfriend as well. But one thing that I found was there's a lot of women that maybe I would have wanted to have, maybe a higher quality woman. But at the time, I hadn't finished college. I didn't really have a stable career because I was just a 1099. I wasn't salaried, and you don't have to be salaried, but I just didn't really have super stable income overall. And I realized, basically, the point of me telling you this is I realized just having a better physique than 99% of guys wasn't enough to even get me the high quality woman that I wanted. And that's when I went and finished my bachelor's degree. After having been in the military, I finished my bachelor's degree. And then I got a corporate job in sales. And then I also built a business on the side. And then I had multiple streams of income. And then I noticed that I started having access to that higher tier, that higher quality, because I really poured into myself. I started reading more, learning more, becoming smarter, becoming more articulate, having better conversations overall. And so I realized that it's really, really important. Okay, so it's just really competitive. Other point is a lot of guys are struggling with porn right now. I struggled with it for years, but it's messing you up. If you're watching porn, I would encourage you to cut it because it likely is distorting your view of intimacy. And honestly, real relationships, they feel dull in comparison to that. Because what happens is you're getting your dopamine hits from a screen. So why bother with real connection? It also takes the motivation out of it to actually go out and meet women when you can just whack off, right? And it actually impacted me really bad years ago. I tried to quit porn many times, and it wasn't until a couple years ago that I just completely hung it up for good because it just really wasn't serving me. And I got to a point where it actually started affecting me physically. I mean, when I was intimate with women, because your hand feels a lot different than a woman's body. It's nothing like the real thing. And it's just really bad. It rewires your brain. I mean, I'm not a fan of it. Some people can have a healthy relationship with it, but I'm not really here to talk about that super in depth in this video. I've made another video about that before, and I will again. But it leads to this cycle of isolation, loneliness for guys. And like I said, it's like a lack of motivation. It's this dopamine feedback loop that it's destroying your ability to connect with real women, especially if you're one of those guys who watches it every day. Like, the end of the day, if you're not dating right now and you have a tough day after you're done with your day, if it's just a normal routine for you, like it was for me, like years ago, like 5 years plus ago, dude, normal routine, I would literally just finish my day in bed before I went to sleep, and I would just whack off, like every single day. So, not good. And here's the thing. Here's what's new in 2025. Women are prioritizing pleasure-centered relationships. So many women are. But so many women also want emotional, physical, and they want sexual compatibility. Like, they want the whole 9 yards. And if you're numbed out from porn, you can't deliver that authentic connection that they're looking for. Now, how do you level up and stand out in 2025? All right, here's how you fix it. Number 1, hit the gym. You've got to hit the gym consistently. Build a well-sculpted physique that commands respect. Get your six-pack. You don't have to look like a cover model. If you can get to like 12 or 13% body fat, have some good muscle on you, good shoulders, good chest, everything, some abs popping, you're good, right? Build real confidence. How do you do that? You've got to step outside your comfort zone more. Tough men are not created in safety. Get outside your comfort zone and challenge yourself daily. Do hard things, set goals, crush those goals. That's what's going to build your confidence, okay? Improve your social skills. You need to learn to connect on a deeper level with these women by being present with them. Be authentic, be yourself, right? Now, my videos, I preach when you're just getting to know a girl, you don't need to lay your whole life story out there. That's not what I'm saying. I don't need you to just vomit your drama, your life story, but just learn how to communicate. Go watch some James Bond movies. See how he communicates. Be present. Be authentic. Be yourself. Develop a strong masculine presence. Lead. Decide, take action, plan the date, get her availability, and then tell her when, where, and at what time you're going to meet. Focus on delayed gratification. This is going to be huge. I mean, don't go buy that expensive car that you can't afford. I actually was driving an old car for a while. I had a nice Ford truck years ago, about 6 years ago. Drove it for a few years, paid it off, and then I bought a Honda Accord with cash. Drove that for like 5. Actually, I still have it. I'm about to sell it soon just because I don't give a shit. I literally just didn't want to have a car payment, and it never impacted my ability to attract women, be with women, and it didn't affect my confidence at all, because confidence is internal. So, delay gratification. It'll serve you it'll serve you in the long run if you focus on that. Build your skills. Pick a skill set, focus on self-improvement. But here's what's different in 2025. You need to be intentional about dating, okay? This whole playing it too cool thing is not really going to work anymore. That era is dead, all right? Again, I don't need you to just vomit your whole story, but when you start dating a woman, right, be upfront about what you want. If you're looking for something serious, voice it earlier on. You don't need to say it off the rip, though. Don't say this on the first date. But don't waste some woman's time if all you want to do is hook up, okay? But we're talking about two separate things. Every single woman that you date, when you first start dating her, keep it light, keep it cool, be yourself, and be your authentic self. Be open, but don't lay your whole life story out on the line right away, okay? We don't need to do that. Let her discover things as you go along. And the relationship should never be your idea. Like, for example, taking it to the next level. That should be her idea ultimately. Okay? It's feminine energy. If you're like, oh, where is this going? Just let her bring it up. Take her out on dates. Have a good time. Be present. Be authentic. Don't try to be somebody that you're not. And just let things unravel naturally. All right? But be honest, okay? I know guys who date women and really good quality women, and they just continue dating them even though they know, yeah, I know that I'm not going to get married to this girl. I know I don't really want to fully commit to her. And maybe she's a really high quality woman. Don't waste these women's time, bro, especially if they're in their late 20s, early 30s, something like that. You got to be open and upfront about what you're looking for. Just not off the rip, okay? Because this saves everyone time and it attracts the right people in your life. If you want a transactional relationship, then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, so that's that. And I also recommend the multi-dating approach. Date multiple women at one time. I mean, honestly, if you're trying to date more than a few women, like really more than like 3 at a time, it can be kind of cumbersome. It's kind of a lot to keep up with, but date more than one woman at a time until you're both sure about how you feel about the relationship, right? Kind of see how things goes. It just gives you more options. It keeps you in an abundance mindset. It keeps things light, and it helps you avoid getting overly invested too soon in the game, all right? Also, keep the communication on the dating apps until you meet in person, all right? Now, the reason why is because this prevents that false intimacy and it motivates both of you to meet face-to-face faster. We don't want to try to text too much at all, like between dates. You don't want to do it before the first date, really. Just set the date and get on the date. Do not try and bond, get to know someone over a text message, all right? Get to know them in person. Focus on shared interests. This is huge. Nearly 50% of singles now find their niche interest. They have a major attraction factor because that ultimately is what's going to ground you. So if you don't have that much in common and you're just, hooking up together, there's not really going to be much substance there of that relationship outside of just being a transactional relationship. So if you have a weird hobby or something, dude, that might be your greatest asset, okay? Again, just be yourself. Be in your masculine frame, but also be your authentic self. So that's all I got for you guys today. Remember, this is the Ascended Man. It's time to take control of your dating life by becoming the kind of man who naturally attracts high-quality women through authentic confidence and genuine connection. That's all I got for you guys today. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.